From Washington, this is VOA News. I'm David Forrest reporting a top Burundian official is dismissing claims of a coup. Interior Minister Edourd Nduwimana says forces loyal to President Pierre Nkurunziza remain in control of the presidential palace, state radio and television, and the main airport in the capital Bujumbura. He says the president is back in Burundi after traveling to Tanzania for a regional summit. Earlier, General Godefroid Niyombare told Burundian radio stations that the president had been ousted. Thousands of Burundians celebrated in the streets after the general's announcement. There was gunfire reported throughout the day in the city, some of it coming from near the National Broadcast Center. U.S. President Barack Obama said Wednesday he would discuss with Saudi Arabia's visiting leaders how to build on a ceasefire in Yemen. The White House meetings comes ahead of a wider summit with a group of Gulf Arab countries. The U.S. Embassy in Afghanistan says one American citizen was killed when gunmen attacked the Park Palace guest house in Kabul. The embassy extended condolences to the victim's family but did not release the person's name. Gunmen stormed the guest house as it hosted a party for foreigners Wednesday night. U.S. officials say the Pentagon is considering sending U.S. military ships and aircraft to assert freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. That move would be a direct challenge to China as it rapidly produces man-made islands in disputed waters. A Pentagon spokesman says the key point is that the waterways and air above them are international. He said the U.S. Navy routinely conducts maritime patrols in the area. This is VOA News. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry says now is a critical moment for Russia and pro-Russia separatists to fulfill a peace deal meant to end the violence in eastern Ukraine. Kerry made the comment in Turkey, where he met Wednesday with NATO foreign ministers.
There was strong agreement among all of the NATO members that this is a critical moment for action by Russia, by the separatists, to live up to the Minsk agreement.
John Kerry. A group of activists is calling for the United Nations to remove the immunity from prosecution granted to civilian and police personnel in its peacekeeping missions. The activists hope that will deter the sexual abuse and exploitation of the people they were sent to help. A United Nations aid operation is set to take place in Yemen over the next few days if a temporary ceasefire holds during a so-called humanitarian pause. Lisa Schlein has more.
Because of the fighting and import restrictions on fuel, food, and other relief supplies, millions of people in Yemen have received little or no life-saving aid. If the negotiated 5-day humanitarian pause holds, critical aid will be transported and distributed to those in great need. The UN Refugee Agency has already sent a shipment of aid by sea, containing blankets, sleeping mats, and kitchen utensils. Lisa Schlein, Geneva.
The U.S. House of Representatives has overwhelmingly passed legislation extending the Patriot Act. It allows the surveillance of people suspected of terrorist-related activities, but the extension also ends the bulk collection of phone data from millions of Americans. A jury has begun deliberating whether convicted Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev should spend the rest of his life in prison or be put to death. Jurors in Boston got the case Wednesday. All 12 of them must agree if Tsarnaev is to be executed. 2 visiting U.S. diplomats have ruled out a change in American policy on Zimbabwe. Assistant Deputy Secretary of State for African Affairs Shannon Smith said the United States would not follow the European Union in relaxing travel bans and other sanctions against President Robert Mugabe. Here is Assistant State Department Secretary Stephen Feldstein.
We're not here to announce any policy changes. The United States, though, we want to emphasize, we want Zimbabwe to prosper. We engage in activities to support economic development as well as in the areas of health, agriculture, education, and democratic institutions.
The 4-day visit of the 2 U.S. diplomats to Zimbabwe is a rare occurrence because of the frosty relations between the 2 countries. On Wall Street, U.S. stock indexes ended the day mixed. In Washington, I'm Dave DeForest.
That's the latest world news from VOA.